I'm sure others have told you this, but this site is absolutely stunning. 11,000 women in one room, a room so big it must have its own weather report. It's just massive. Thank you for inviting me here. We're going to have some fun today. I want to explore a couple of topics with you while we're together that I'm hoping are going to give you some interesting information about something you may think you know a lot about, but I'm going to show you a little bit of the secret sauce of what makes Shark Tank work. Because there's some lessons in life in this program that we can all learn from. I'm lucky enough to teach graduating engineers now, and I always show them something I'm going to show you today because it prepares you for your journey in life in many ways, including if you have aspirations to be an entrepreneur. So let's talk a little bit about the phenomenal success of this. Why is Shark Tank so successful? What is going on here? Why does it keep growing? #1 family show in America, fastest growing demographic, 9 to 18-year-old girls. We're all amazed at it. You know, what are you watching when you watch Shark Tank? You're watching the pursuit of freedom. What does it mean to be successful in business? It's not about money. It's not about the greed of cash. It's the pursuit of personal freedom. When you're successful in business, it sets you free later in life in ways you can only dream of. Even a 9-year-old girl understands that watching her parents toil, that should they be successful in business, the rewards in America are freedom. And that's a powerful, visceral force. You can't stop watching it happen. Obviously, lightning doesn't strike every day on Shark Tank, but when it does, there's phenomenal success. I can't stop watching it, and I'm there making it. I just think it's an incredible story of perseverance and family values and everything that makes our country great. I want to give you a case study today from a local success story called Wicked Good Cupcakes. Started in Cohasset by 2 women that have become phenomenally successful. And in this story is the essence of the secret sauce of Shark Tanks and many of the lessons of life. No one had ever heard of Wicked Good Cupcakes before until it aired on a Friday night at 9 o'clock. Then what happens? It explodes. America learns the story of Tracy and Danny, and sales go from 24,000 to 365,000 in 30 days and keeps growing. The reason I did this deal was to test a theory, to try and figure out what the value of the Shark Tank platform is to a business, because cupcakes are commodities. Anybody can make a cupcake. Water, sugar, flour. There are thousands of cupcake companies, but nothing like Wicked Good Cupcakes, because all of a sudden, 10 million people learned about Wicked Good Cupcakes in 1 hour. And all of a sudden, remember this is an online business, the cost of acquiring a customer went to 0. The biggest challenge online companies have, the biggest challenge you'll have when you start a business, is the cost of acquiring a customer. The power of the Shark Tank platform, the secret sauce that no one ever thinks about is, it's 8 minutes of primetime television for free. It's worth millions of dollars, proven by what happens to this company. I got my money back in a matter of months. This is one of the most successful deals ever done on Shark Tank. Tracy and Danny still own all the equity in the company, and they pay me a royalty, and they have been phenomenally successful. They've grown their base of employees, multiple commercial kitchens now, and they keep building the business. But what they learned on Shark Tank and haven't forgotten is customer acquisition costs. These 2 women are super smart. They know that if they can stay on television and keep telling their story, they'll just keep growing their customer base with 0 customer acquisition costs. We just keep going and going and going as Tracy and Danny dream up other stories that network television wants to follow about the growth of their amazing business and the journey they've had as entrepreneurs. It just never stops. They're on TV almost every week. These women really get it. This is an image just a few weeks ago of the 1 millionth jar of Wicked Good Cupcakes being sold at Faneuil Hall. And yes, it was on national television. And of course, they sold tens of thousands more dollars. You understand what's going on here. The use of social media, television, print, any way you can tell your story reduces your customer acquisition costs forever. That's the whole idea of getting your story out there. So their journey has become their company's brand, and they're continuing to build it. They've expanded dramatically. There's something unique about the journey on Shark Tank, and Tracy and Danny would speak to it all day long, that I want you to understand. And this goes in what I teach now in engineering. If it's the only thing you remember from my presentation, I want you to remember these three elements. There have been thousands of companies on Shark Tank. In England, it's called Dragon's Den. It's the same in Australia and Canada. The show is a global phenomenal success. So there's been many, many examples of people that got in front of investors and started telling their story. But in every case where the company was able to raise money, there were three attributes present 100% of the time. And I want to share these with you because these are important, not just in business, in life. Number one, in every case, the entrepreneur was able to articulate the opportunity in 90 seconds or less. Hi, I'm Cohasset, Massachusetts. I put cupcakes in a jar, and I FedEx them to people. That's 18 seconds. I get it. I know right away what the opportunity is. I know what they're doing. The ability to communicate your idea, your vision, your message, it matters in business, it matters in politics, it matters in life. It matters with your husband. He needs to know what you want. You have to communicate it to anybody in your life that you think needs to know what you're thinking. Very important. Number two, particularly in business, you have to be able to explain why you are the right person to execute the business plan. What is it about you that you know of the experience you've had that helps you get the job done? If you're going to tell me you're going to build a company, you have to tell me why you think you're the right person to execute it. When these two come together, when you see that you can explain the opportunity in 90 seconds or less, and you can explain, it takes a little longer, of course, that you're the right person to execute, all of a sudden, the room starts to sizzle. You know you've got a winning team, and investors get excited. Now, here's number three. This one is the killer. I've seen the oxygen fly out of a room. I've seen the best pitch fall apart on this one. I've seen people get down on their knees and cry after this happened to them. You have to know your numbers. You have to be able to speak in the language of business if you're going to present yourself as someone that should be invested in. If you don't know your numbers, bring somebody with you that does. This really matters. How big is the market? What are your expenses? What's your volume when you break even? How big will sales be next year? You have to know the answers to this. About a third of this room, I think, because that's statistically what it is, wants to start a business and take the challenge of being an entrepreneur sometime in their life. Never, ever forget these three. Never. Tattoo them on your forehead. That's where they have to be. This is the essence of leadership right here. It works, and I've seen it happen hundreds and hundreds of times. Now, I've been doing Shark Tank for a lot of years now, over 30 companies in my private portfolio, and I'm going to tell you something really remarkable. After 7 years of looking at the returns across all of these different companies in different states, in different businesses, different products, completely unique. Many of them never talk to each other. Not some of my returns, all of my returns have come from the companies either owned or run by women. Now, why is that? Why is that? We're all trying to figure it out. And listen, I'm not trying to start a gender war here. I'd give money to a goat if I could get a return. But there must be some common attributes across all of these companies that are generating return of capital like this. This is Sarah Mongolis at Honey Fund. She's remarkable. I've learned so many lessons from her. Built her business from $5 million to now this year $400 million in originations of honeymoons. Incredible business. And she's got Plum Fund for charity now. She just keeps going. She's a monster. She is so efficient at what she does. Surprise Ride. This is a gifting service, a subscription service for children that you want to advance their learning in out of Washington. I really feel a lot of compassion for these two. They're actually Lebanese-born from Montreal that won the lottery years ago to come to the U.S. Similar story to me. I'm half Lebanese, half Irish. I love their story, and they're grinding it out, building subscribers, trying to use Shark Tank to reduce their customer acquisition cost. This is a really eclectic business. They make dresses for sororities. They know where their market is. They just go, and you know they're all the same. Once you design a dress, you have the same scale. They know exactly where their targets are in colleges everywhere. That's what's so cool about Shark Tank, all these unique businesses. This is amazing. That woman there that you're looking at, Jen, that's her husband Eli. He was on the same team, the same unit that took out bin Laden. And while he was away for 4 terms, she ran this business. She went to business school to learn and did it herself. This is an amazing business. It takes expensed ordnance like bullet shells and turns them into beer openers and pens. $5 million in sales this year, making lots of money. An extraordinary outcome. What is it about these companies? What are they doing that is unique? Why are they successful? This one, Louise Anne Poirier, this business is now at $440 million. There are no men there, and I don't care. I'm her partner. She is a monster in efficiency. In a very complex business of ETFs, compliance costs, marketing, she has an amazing team. They just drive it through. She's the CFO and the owner. Let's talk a little bit about the successful attributes. I want to leave these with you because now I know some of them that work. And these are unique to these companies run by women, and some of the things they're doing that I think men can learn of, and I'm certainly telling the ones that run by men in my portfolio to start thinking about these. Number one, this does not sound complicated, but it's important. Clear line of command, and above all, achievable goals. It turns out in the companies run by women in my portfolio, they set goals for their employees that are achieved 90% of the time. The guys, 50% of the time. The guys are setting really high goals with the hope that the outlier will reach them and give motivation to others to try and achieve that. Women, not doing that. They're setting goals that are achieved 90% of the time, and what that does, it turns out, is employee churn is less because the morale of the company is higher because most people are achieving their bonuses. So set your goals within reach. Don't reach for the moon, reach for success. Reach for what people can do that they can actually achieve. That gives them the motivation to go even farther. That's a major change in the way I actually see the goal setting done between the two sets of companies. This is a lesson I learned a couple of years ago. I actually carry 2 cell phones now. One for my family, of which my kids use a lot to ask me for money all the time. And the other number, and this is one I learned from one of my CEOs, again a woman, any company that I'm involved in, I give that phone number to every single employee. And I tell them, out of respect to you, you have access to me. If there's a problem, I want to know about it. I don't need to hear the good news. I want you to text me or phone me with the really bad news. And guess what? It rarely rings. But when it does ring, it's important. And it's the respect of access that achieves a really strong bond with the teams. The CEOs, the head of sales, marketing, the employees all have that number. Thousands of people have that number. And it rings far less than my kid's phone. I can tell you that. Delegation is something you have to learn once you pass $1 million in sales. If you can't do it, you'll fail. Great entrepreneurs are able to delegate. The successful women CEOs are remarkably good at this. Remarkably good at it. And the way it works is, Sarah, I'll give you an example of the way Sarah works. She hires somebody, she sets a goal for 90 days, and gets out of their way. Gets completely out of their way. Lets them achieve it. If they achieve it, she moves them up the organization. If they don't, they get 3 tries until they're out. If you can't achieve your goals in business, that's what happens. But her whole thing is, let them do the work themselves. Let them figure it out. I don't want to use my time for it. That's what I hired them for. This is the actual one that I think makes the difference. Have you ever heard that analogy? If you want something done, give it to a busy mother. It turns out that time allocation skills, the ability to assign time, the most precious commodity in a small business, is done better by women than men. They allocate their own time and they allocate their employees' time towards tasks that get the job done, that achieve goals. I actually believe the combination is those two. It's setting goals you can achieve and allocating time. That's the secret sauce. I'm going to leave you with a story that my son has been dealing with. One of the challenges of being successful, and I hope you all get there, is what do you do with your kids? Do you give them money, or do you tell them, I'm sorry, you've got to make it on your own? My deal with my kids is, and I've decided to do this because my mother did it to me, I'll pay all the way to the end of college, then you get nothing. They didn't care about it when they were 4 years old. Now they care a lot. My son said to me recently, my dad lives in Geneva, he's my stepdad. We were leaving Logan. I'll take him there any weekend. My dad's 85, my mother died a long time ago, but we go visit George whenever we can, just for the weekend. And Trevor was getting on the flight to Zurich, and he looked at me, I'll never forget it, and he said, Dad, why is it that every time we get on this plane, I have to take a left and sit in the back, and you get to sit in the front with the big screen and the good food? And I said, Trevor, you don't have any money. Thank you very, very much.